So for you, what was that point of recognition where you, between when you were young and said, oh, I never want to settle down here, and then after that where you said, wait a minute, this is a good place for me to be? What occurred in that moment? Or was it a process?
Well, first of all, I still feel young. So.
You still
No, I think it was a bit of a process and a lot of actually frustration. Even to this day, I am frustrated with our community as a whole. And like I said, that creative class, I know my wife and I struggle a lot, and I know a lot of people do with creative outlets in town, which is one of the reasons we planted ourselves in the Village of Winona. If you've ever been to the restaurant, hopefully you're familiar with the Village of Winona and Winona Lake. And I think that process developed, kind of to try to answer your question, over time with a little bit of kind of rebellion and trying to have an outlet where people can feel that community and that creativeness and hopefully trying to provide that. And so I think that was our process and somewhat of frustration and saying, hey, where's the place we want to go? Where's the place we want our friends to go? Where's the place we want our community to spend time in?
So had you not been able to identify some context where you could plug in and thrive, this wouldn't have been an attractive option.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like we felt like we had a specific group, set of talents and skills, and if we couldn't plug that in here, I think it would have been really challenging and trying to understand the market.
So the Village offered that.
Exactly.
Okay. So Rita Price Simpson, tell us your story in terms of your journey.
Well, I guess I'm really the dinosaur. I started my radio career in 1959 when I was still in high school, and I walked into the Times Union building, and at that time they owned a radio station, and I said I would like to be interested in being in radio, and so they said, well, you have an option. You can either be on radio as a kind of a volunteer learning worker, or you can go out and sell your own advertising and have your own programming. And being the person who always earned their own way, I decided it would be a little bit better to earn my own way and sell advertising. So in 1959, when I was a junior in high school, I went out into the area and I sold advertising on my first radio program, which was a half hour on Saturdays. Most people really relate my job to my sportscasting, and that's probably what I'm most known for. But really in 1959 was the start of my career. And that's very unusual now, I think, that for somebody to come out of high school and end up 52 years later working in the same genre is a little bit unusual. I feel very fortunate in that fact that I was able to do that. Over the career of my career, I've expanded my sales part of my career, and that's been probably the most fulfilling as far as financially, and the part that has been most interesting to me because I've been able to get into so many communities. Getting into those communities has been something that's been quite interesting to me because basically my community affairs have been all in small communities. And I'm talking about communities of 800 in population or up. So when I started working for the radio station, they wanted to expand the outlying areas. So it was my job to go into every place but Warsaw. And that's what I did. And
big city, Warsaw, the big city.
Yeah, this is the city. The big city was Warsaw. So they wanted to expand into the area. So that's basically what I did, and that led me to a lot of great friendships and relationships. I graduated from Bourbon High School in 1960. I moved to the big city of Plymouth when I got married, and then my husband and I bought a business in Mentone, which was going from medium to big to very small in my way of thinking. We had a business there for 28 years. In addition to me working in the radio station, that was a big part of our lives. And over the course of years, I've just been amazed at the growth of the Warsaw area. And I think those of you who have been here for a long time understand that our successes in many instances have been thrown into the idea that Warsaw has grown so appreciably in so many ways. When I think about what it was like when I first started working at the radio station, when I actually was spinning records and reading commercials live, to what has happened over the course of all of these years, basically because of the growth of the Kosciuszko County and Warsaw area, it's been nonetheless very amazing to me. And I think for many of us in the media like we are, we find that our successes are only based on the areas in which we live. And I've loved this area all of my life. I guess I could be considered as an achieving stayer because I've had had several opportunities to move, but never really wanted to do that. And over the course of the years and the way that things have turned out for me and my career and my family, I'm very thankful for the fact that I did not go.
So Rita, what would you say was the leading attribute that caused you to say no to those other opportunities?
I think at the time it probably was family as much as anything. My family was very much into the community. My family was very happy where they were. At that time too, frankly, I did not see that that was going to be that much better for me. One of the jobs that I had opportunity to do several times was with Channel 22. They courted me several times to make a newscaster out of me. And after I thought about the different disabilities of it, and the fact that you would be on at noon and then you would have time off, you'd be on late at night, I thought, you know, there wasn't anything much better than what I was doing. The thing that they kept throwing at me was you'd have so much more exposure. Frankly, I felt like I was being exposed quite a bit where I was.
Good. So we've got career path, we've got creative outlet and the opportunity to build a business, we've got good career but also family values kept you rooted. Kevin, let's hear your story.
I was probably a stayer from the beginning. I never really had a desire to leave the community. I begrudgingly went to Purdue. But that was only, the plan was to come back and practice veterinary medicine with my brother. And I was so homesick after 2 years that I decided to come back early. And was very fortunate the local banker gave me an opportunity and offered to pay for the rest of my education if I'd stay. And that was great for me. That's what I wanted to do. So I became a banker accordingly. And it was easier than milking cows. And it was certainly easier than practicing with my brother. Community was I loved growing up in a small town. I loved the life on the farm, and I never really had any desire to go anywhere else. I had a lot of deep relationship. I knew everybody that walked down the street, and it's what I've always been comfortable with.
So relationships. There's that feeling of connectedness,
yeah.
Being known and knowing others.
Absolutely.
Okay. Rick, how about you?
Well, I guess my story is pretty similar to Kevin. You know, I really never had any intentions to go anywhere. I had a great family, a great role model for my family with our family business. And I was very fortunate. I never worked with my grandfather, who started in 1927 in Silver Lake. I was very fortunate I got to spend a lot of time with him on his front porch and the swing and talking to him. And you know, he was a great man, and I really wanted to follow with the family and stay in the family business. You know, he did a lot of things for the community in Silver Lake. He donated the land for the Silver Lake School, and was on the back then they didn't call it the school board, but he was on the board of the school, and they built that school down there. You know, I'm a third generation in the business, and you know, I did go to school, but when I went off to school, I had every intention to come right back to Silver Lake to work in the family business and carry on that tradition.
Strong sense of legacy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Carrying on something that is bigger than you, multi-generational.
Right, and you know, and I had of course, there's other family members involved, and some of my cousins came back and worked in the business. But you know, they've all since decided to move on to other things. And but yeah, I'm really proud to be a part of that and to carry that on, and hope I can pass it on to future generations.
So you've heard some themes in that decision-making process that have emerged from that, and that's good. Tuck that away, because as we think about next steps and actions and programs and policies, we'll probably want to tie back to some of those values that you just heard about. Now I want to focus briefly on what is being done or what could be done in the circles of influence that you all represent. So we've got you know, small business, medium-sized business, large business. We've got education, broadcasting. Brad, we've got community organizations that represent a larger, really big industry. So what's being done? Give us a flavor for maybe the efforts that are being made to make a way for the next generation to put down those roots in your particular areas. Rick, do you have some thoughts there?
Well, as I've gone through this, read the book, gone through the process, I guess I've come to the realization, you know, that personally I need to do more outreach on our part. We have participated in some of the career seminars I've put on, but I don't think I've done enough in that area. I think, you know, in my industry, my business, you know, we have some good opportunities there, but I don't think we're doing enough to let the young people know those opportunities, how rewarding they can be, and I think we need to do more of that.
Are you intrigued by that idea of job shadowing, having kids and their parents come in and just see what is there?
Yes, I think I definitely want to do more of that. There's, I don't know if there's a stigma or whatever, but I really think that most people don't really have a good idea of what we do and how we do it. And yeah, I would definitely like to get involved in job shadowing and just get people, you know, just get people in to see what we do behind the scenes. I think there's in my industry, I guess there's I don't know if there's kind of a wall there, you know, people, a lot of times when they come in to our business are kind of on the defensive, usually from experiences they've had somewhere else, and maybe as an industry we've kind of trained them that way a little bit, and it's not that way. It doesn't need to be that way. You know, we're very transparent, very open, but I think most people have the feeling when, you know, they go buy a car, you know, when they come in the door, they have their shields up and they're afraid they're going to get beat up or whatever.
It's a big purchase.
It is a big investment, and you know, I just think, you know, there's been bad experiences over the years, and you know, we continually try to break that barrier down.
And certainly from the service standpoint, you need highly trained, highly intelligent individuals, because being an auto mechanic is a big job.
Yeah, and it's all computer related now. I mean, our mechanics, you know, we don't disassemble engines much anymore. It's all computer driven, very high tech, very high tech.